Tonight, we're going to do the Chapter 10 practice exam. I'm going to start on Handout, and I will send out the Chapter 10 exam after class. Will be due on 15th, should be 23rd? The 23rd. Okay. So tonight, let's go to the practice exam. Is there anyone that did not get it? If you didn't get it, it's in Blackboard under the course files. Let me make sure I'm not lying to you. Yeah, it's in there. Okay. And it does not look like that. It looks like this. Okay, so high-low method. And well, just to kind of reiterate, I know I've done this before, but just to reiterate, we're taking the total cost and breaking them up into variable and fixed. And we're doing that so that because it's usually more accurate and it's easier than taking each individual cost. Because there could be thousands of little individual costs. And it also is more accurate because you can imagine going through 1,000 items, you're much more likely to make a mistake of miscategorizing something as variable or fixed. So this method, the method we're going through, the high-low and then the, the regression, they eliminate that need because it'll automatically determine which ones, how much is variable and how much are the fixed costs, so that we can use, and we're not just doing this for fun, although I am. No, but you're doing it so you can use the cost to make a decision. And we're going to actually get more heavily into that in chapter 11. Chapter 11 is all about making decisions based on what we just talked about. So, okay. So let's go ahead and so you put it away. Okay, so high-low method. Start with the high and the low. That's the low. This is the high. It doesn't matter where, what the week is. I mean, you're just taking the highest and the lowest. All right, so I can't remember how I did this before. This is the first time I used this kind of Excel sheet plugged in here. All right, so we have units. Oops, and total cost. All right, so the high was 14, and the total cost is 119. Okay, and we're going to take the difference between those two. Okay, guess we're okay. These aren't lining up. How come you guys aren't lining up? What's going on here? That's kind of weird. Okay, so we're going to take the difference between these two. We're going to subtract them. Oh, let's see. Okay, this difference of 24, is that due to variable or fixed costs? Anyone? You can private chat if you want. The difference of $24 in the total cost, is it due to variable or fixed cost?
Variable.
Yep. Yeah, so this is all due to variable costs. The fixed cost won't change. You know, for whatever your rent was, I just goofed it up. Whatever your rent was, you know, it's not going to change. So if there's a change over here, it must be due to variable costs. So this will be due to variable costs. Okay. The question is, how much is it per unit? So get the variable cost per unit. We are going to take the 24, the total cost, change in total cost, the $24 divided by 4. Units. Let me move this over. That equals $6 per unit. You guys may want to make sure you check me. Okay, so this is the variable cost per unit. Make it red. Yeah, it doesn't show up enough. Let's make it red and oh, I know what we can do. We can make it like wait a minute. a little shocking. Maybe we'll tone it down a little. This is going to be on the test, by the way, you guys. How to goof around with... Okay. Well, that's confusing enough. All right, so this will be our variable cost per unit, $6. I'm going to copy that. So there, that's a little more friendly. Let's do a little lighter blue. Okay, now let me get rid of this for now. So some of these costs here are going to be variable and some are going to be fixed. Am I going to get inserts or something? Okay, I just can't keep them separated. So I'm going to do we'll do the high first. Okay, so some of these are variable, some of these are fixed. And so what we're going to do is take the units. That's not the right units. So 14 units. I have to play around with this stuff here. Times $7 per unit. No, $6 a unit. Whatever that is. Okay, so this is the total variable cost. Yeah, 84. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the total cost, 19, minus the variable cost, and that will give us our fixed cost. Okay, so 119 minus 84, 35. Okay, let's try to make this one exciting somehow. Let's go green And hey, something wrong here. What's going on here? Okay, so some of these are variable, some of it. We're going to do the same thing down here. And we should come up with the same fixed cost because it should be the same, it should be fixed. Okay, so we had 10 units. Times. I'll copy this, I guess. What is that, 60? All right, and this will be our and look, I don't even have to change them because they should be coming out the same. So this is oh, I put that in. So this is what, $35? Is all this highlighting just more confusing? I'm looking at this, it looks like a mess. Now let me ask you another question. Do you guys like doing it in these column things like this, or would you just rather it was just a blank sheet? Because I can do it either way. Yeah, I'm going to send out the test, so I don't want to send it out in a format you guys don't like. So
an Excel.
Well, this kind of a form. This is fill in the blank. You can do it in Excel. I don't mind doing it in Excel at all. I could send this out. I think about it. I could probably get that. I could send it out in Excel too. Okay. Well, if this does annoy you, the columns and that, you don't have to do it this way. you can even delete this whole thing. You know what I mean? You could just delete all the columns here. You know, usually I just keep this up here or whatever you want. You know, my point being, however you want to alter is fine with me. But if I'm not sure if this is helpful or not. But, okay. Oh, we got extra credit point problem here. Okay, if we don't need all these. Okay. There'll be an extra credit on the test, and it will be like similar to this. Find the break-even point if the selling price is $11 per unit, and this just goes back to our let's say variable. So if the selling price is $11 per unit, let's make X equals units. So this would be selling price $11 per unit, so 11X minus the variable cost, which is $6. Oopsie daisy. That looks more confusing. Minus the fixed cost, which is 35. Oopsie, equals at break even at 0. Let me make that look a little more. Okay. And then we just solve for X. X minus 6X is 5X. And we want to get all of this on the other side. So we'll say plus 35. Plus 35. This just ends up being 0, but this will end up being, oops, too far. 35. So let's get a little closer. It's got a little bit closer together. Divide both sides by 5. Oops. Something's wrong here. There should be another space at least in there. I don't know. All right, so 5. Okay, so 5x or x equals, I should say. Five, and that x is our units, so this is 5 units.
Professor, isn't 35 divided by 5 7?
Yes, it is. Took it easy. So I was testing you guys, and way to go.
Good test. Good test.
I'm glad you guys are paying attention. Yes, it is. 35 divided by 5 is 7. And so on the test, it'll be extra credit points. Okay, so high-low, you just grab the highest and the lowest. It's the benefits of it are it's fast. The disadvantage is that you leave out a lot of data. That there's a lot of data that might be relevant that you kind of leave out. To make it easier to make it faster to do the calculations. And again, the reason we're doing this is a lot of times it's easier to get the total cost than it is to add up all of the little ones. The total cost, you just look at your bank statement. Look at your bank statement, look at all the costs that went out. So that's why we're doing it this way. It'd be very easy to see how many things you produced. Go to your bank statement, see all the payments you made, and you can back into the data, either doing a high-low or the regression low method. And again, if you have thousands of parts or something going into these things, much quicker to do it that way than to dig through thousands of parts. And a lot of times it's more accurate too, because the problem of miscategorizing. Okay. All right. Let's go to the one that's more difficult, but people tend to miss less. And that is this one. Make those red. Okay, regression. And again, those of you that had statistics, or this might be old hat to you, but if you haven't had it yet, this is maybe new. And basically, in statistics, it can be hard to know which one you're looking for. What are you trying to explain? And you're always trying to explain the whys here. And luckily for us, what we're basically always trying to explain are the total cost. So these are always going to be the Y's, and the toasters are going to be the X's. Basically, anything else will be the X's. So this will be the X and the Y. And again, sometimes it's not so easy to know that in statistics other than what we're doing. Sometimes it's hard to know what you're trying to explain. In this case, we're trying to say, okay, we want to know how much of this is variable, how much of this is fixed. That's really all we're trying to explain is so the Y is what we're trying to explain. And we use the X's to kind of help us in that respect. Okay, so what we're going to do is go through each of these. I'll do them in green. each of these little parts of our formula. And doing those separately, and then we will just kind of chunk out the numbers here at the bottom. Okay, so the first one we're going to take is the the summation of x times y. So this is summation, this means add up x times y. But notice that the x and y are right next to each other, so we're going to do the multiplication first. Come right here, I'm going to say xy. Oops. So we're just going to multiply. So 9 times 60, whatever that is. So x times the y. So 9 times 60, 540. I better use a calculator. I'm going to make another mistake. Like that. Okay. So x times y is 540 for that one. 6 times 47. 282. And 8 times 58. Okay, so look at that. Isn't that weird how the spacing, these are all supposed to be centered. Yeah. All right. Anyway. So now we're going to add them up. So this is x times y. Now a little squiggly line there. It's actually a sigma, I think. Of 86. So coming down here, that would be the first. I'll do it over here. Minus. Okay, first thing I'm going to have here is summation x. So squiggly, the sigma just means sum, add up the x's. So we're going to come over here and add up these x's. Okay. So that's the sum of the x. So okay, summation of y. So just add up the y's. And I divide it by, and this is the one that's a little bit tricky. And then we just count the data points. So in this case, it's 1, 2, 3. So this is the end, and it'd be the 3. And put the brackets around it. Okay. So that's one side. And now we're going to do, oops, we're not going to do that. We're going to go to this side. And this is the one that's going to trip people. I shouldn't say it is going to trip people up, but it sometimes trips people up. And that is this one, the sum of x times x. So really all you're doing is you're just squaring x. It's just x times x. So, and I know I put it over here. Might look a little funny, but you're just doing, so 9, 6, 8. So you're just multiplying those. Maybe like this. So 9 times 9 is what, 81? And add all those up, wherever they come out to. Let's see, once people get this, actually get the linear regression right, if they do miss one, it's usually here. That's usually the one that trips people up. I hope it doesn't. I hope it doesn't trip anybody up, but sometimes it does. Okay, so this is, let's see, summation of x times x is 181. And I probably have to do some spacing here. I wonder if I can combine these. Merge. Okay. Give you a little more room. Okay, so now here we already did these. Summation of x is just that, 23. Times 23. Divided by 3. Yay. Okay, so let's insert my little shapes here. That's that one. That's that one. That's that one. That's that one. So at this point, it's just kind of chunking them out. Okay, so I'm going to keep that. But I'm going to do that one. So 23 times 165 divided by 3. 23 times 165 divided by 3. And does that not look right? Oh, it is. Okay. I'm almost afraid to ask. Is that what you guys got? Make sure you check it. Yeah, it is. Okay. All right. And over here. Do the same thing over here. All right, 181. All right, so 23 times 23 times 23 equals, so 23 times 23 divided by 3. 17633. Excuse me. 176.33. I think I told you guys before, if you keep the last two decimal places, usually you're okay. So keep the 0.33. Usually you don't have to go more than that, but if you keep the last two, you should be okay. And you might be wondering why, saying, well, 33 cents compared to $176, that's not very much. Well, you got to remember we're subtracting it here. So this is actually going to be a much smaller number. So that's why we keep those last two digits. Okay. Okay, so this one comes out to 467, rounding to the nearest penny. Excuse me. 12. Excuse me. 1286 minus 1265 is 21. Okay, 21 divided by 4.67, 4.9, 4.50 basically. Round that up. By the way, I'm not gonna. I wouldn't mind if you don't round it up correct. If you don't, I'm not gonna make a big deal out of it. If you were to keep 4.49, that'd be fine. I'm gonna round it up to 450. So this is the variable cost per unit. And this is our best estimate of that. Is 450 or 449 if you kept that. Any questions on that? Okay. Fixed cost is basically what we did for the high-low, and that is just take the total cost. You notice that Y's are the total cost, divided by N is just the average total cost, minus the average variable cost. Okay, so let me give it a couple rows here. Okay, so we just only need those two, right? I'm just going to copy them down here. How far apart are they? Oh, right next to each other. Okay. Okay, so summation of y, 165. Divided by n, which is 3, minus that. Now the v is going to be the variable cost. So it's variable cost per unit, and now we just are getting the average number of units. X are the units. Divided by n is just 3, which is just the average number of units. So that's all they're really saying here. So on average, how many units did you have? We had 23 units total. That was for 3 data points. Okay, 165 divided by 3. Five. $450 times 23 divided by 3. You know, that might come out to be a nice even number. Let me see here, 450 times 23 divided by 3. 34.5, that's not too bad. $55 minus, wait, I got my shapes. Okay. Come on. There we go. Okay, so this is, and that is that. And 55 minus 34 is 20.5. So this would be the total fixed cost. And again, we're doing that this way because it's more accurate. Question on that? These I just copied from above. I made things worse. Questions? Okay. Well, let's probably take a break. Let me see here. I'm going to take a break. Let's say be back at what, 10? No, I'm sorry, 7:10. Okay, be back at 7:10. I'll tell you what, I'll put the other one up in case people are still working on it. Hello. Okay, so that's it for chapter 10. And I'll be sending out a test. I should get it out tonight. It might be tomorrow morning, but I'm virtually positive I'll get it out tonight. It'll be due a week from tomorrow. I think I said that, didn't I? I think I put it in there. 23rd. March 23rd, which is Tuesday. So next Tuesday. And again, well, that's not spelled Tuesday correctly. Even if you're missing stuff, make sure you turn it in because yeah, you'll get full credit for it. There's no reason not to turn it in. Your grade will look bad until just put it in there. Yeah, so turn it. I think I put a drop for the chapter 10 handout. Let me check and make sure. Yep. So chapter 10 handout is there. I'll put it in the other. Well, over here, let's do it. Chapter 10 practice exam. You can see how I do this. It's not very exciting, but. By the way, unlimited attempts, so you can if you're taking pictures, that's fine. You don't have to redo it. Oh, I wanted to mention that. If you're submitting things, you can definitely submit pictures. If you're writing in your notebook or something like that, you can submit that. You do not need to retype it into a document or anything like that. You just take pictures of it, and you can load all the pictures on at once. Or even not at once. It'll take it either way. So you do not have to rewrite anything to submit it in there. If you take pictures on your phone and submit it that way, that's fine. And is it in there? It is. Okay. All right, I'm going to stop sharing because I'm stingy like that. Okay, next up, we're going to get a little bit of start on chapter 11. Chapter 11, we're going to take a little bit of time on. Chapter 11 is one of the most significant business chapters that was ever written. I don't know if I told you guys this. The guy who wrote the book that we're using, his name was Charles Holmgren. He died. But he came out in the 1960s and he wrote this textbook. And this chapter 11 is really what made this so unique, in that Holmgren actually said, look, these in economics, they had these models for profitability that nobody really used or cared about because it didn't seem like they were applicable. Like you couldn't use those rules from economics. They were those of you who've been through economics, about utils of enjoyment and all these crazy things that just didn't seem like they were very practical. You couldn't translate those into real life. I mean, theoretically they're kind of interesting, but and Charles Holmgren was the first one that says, no, you can use those same rules and make decisions, and it changed things. It changed things in a huge way. One of the first business that really took it to heart was 7-Eleven. Stores used to open up at 9 in the morning and they closed at 6 at night. 7-Eleven opened at 7 in the morning. It was crazy. Nothing opened at 7 in the morning. 7 in the morning they opened up. They didn't close till 11 o'clock at night. Everything closed at the latest anything stayed open was 9, and that was some stores around Christmas time or something. That was it. And Charles Holmgren, his ideas in the book changed all that, so that the decisions that were being made much better, and the companies were much more profitable following the stuff that he wrote in the book. And for years, I mean, I think I told you these books are the first edition of these books are collector's items, because they literally changed things for the better. Banks used to open at 9 in the morning, and they closed at 3. There were no branch banks, and there were no ATMs. So if you wanted to take money out of your bank, you had to get in your car, probably take off from work, go to your bank, wherever that was, and withdraw the money or deposit the money. It was a very archaic system. And if you look at old movies, they'll talk about bankers' hours. That's what they're talking about. 9 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. And it was like that for years. And we're going to change that. No, people will want to do banking, later in the evening and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, so that's what we're going to do next. We're going to do the chapter 11. So if you want to pull that up, and I don't think I have it pulled up. I gotta save this. Okay. So this is the chapter 11. Relevant costs. I may have a better term for that as relevant information, but relevant costs we usually see it called. Anyone that does not have the chapter 11? Okay, we're going to start out a little bit different. We're going to go all the way to the end, handout page 12, and we're going to talk a little bit about costs. Switch cameras here. Okay, relevant costs. Relevant costs are costs that change between alternatives. And I don't know why I have a semicolon there. So for anything to be relevant, it has to change between the alternatives. Okay, so we have Happy Meals below. What items, the Happy Meals below, are relevant?
Wouldn't it be everything besides the toy?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
The toys are not relevant. It's true the toys aren't relevant. These are not relevant.
Yeah, I said everything besides the toy. Oh, the would it be the hamburger and cheeseburger different?
Yep, this is it. All the rest of these are not relevant. These are not relevant. Because they're the same. It doesn't matter whether you get A or B, you're going to get a Coke. Coke, fries, toy, those are not relevant. Now, notice, we're not saying that we don't want them. We're not saying that we don't want to pay for them. We're not saying, all we're saying is that to the decision, they're not relevant because they're exactly the same between alternatives. So the only thing that's different is the cheese, I guess. But so it has to be different or else it's not relevant to the decision. Okay. I'm going to add one here. I should have put in, it just occurred to me. Fixed cost. Now, given what I told you here, that it has to differ between alternatives, do you think fixed costs are usually relevant or not relevant? Do fixed costs usually change?
I think they would be what, non-relevant because they are always the same.
Yep, exactly what it is. And I say usually they're only relevant if they change. It's possible that you could change the fixed cost in total. Oops. But generally speaking, unless they tell you otherwise. Oops. Hey. Unless they tell you otherwise, fixed costs are not relevant. Now, it's possible you go from one alternative to another. They say the fixed costs will go up because of some reason. If that's the case, then the change in them is relevant. But generally speaking, they're not. Historical costs or sunk costs. Costs that were paid in the past are not relevant. And there's a good reason why. Can they change? You know, if I paid $10,000 for a car last year, is that $10,000 that I paid for the car, is that ever going to change? No, because it can't change, it can't be relevant. So to a decision, it's not relevant. We're not saying we didn't pay it. We're not saying that, we don't want the car. We're just saying it's not relevant to any decision because it's already been paid. We can't jump in the time machine, go back and change it. So historical costs are not relevant. opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is really kind of a funny one because it actually is just an alternative use for something. So foregone profits from alternative use of money. It sounds kind of funny, but it's sort of like this. Your cost of school. All right, let's see, you have tuition. Books. Books, as I like to call them. Books. Probably some fees in there for fun. Room and board. So, meals. Okay, so these are normal things that you would think about for cost of college. But there's one more that maybe isn't as obvious, and that is if you're in class like you are tonight, what could you be doing instead of being here? No, if you didn't have to be in this class tonight, what could you be doing financially with this time?
Working?
Yep. So an opportunity cost another job or working more at your job, I should say, it's working more about. So instead of taking the time to study and to go to classes and all that kind of stuff, you could take that same time and work and event there. So that's an opportunity cost. Now, opportunity costs are relevant. Even if I can't spell it, they are relevant because they are an alternative. It's basically another alternative you can be doing. An alternative of going to school is you wouldn't be going to school, and then you could be working more at your job or working another job or whatever you want to, whatever you can be doing instead of going to college. So that's an opportunity cost of going to school is that. And those are relevant. They're basically another alternative. So fixed costs generally not relevant. Some costs, historical costs, are never relevant. Can't change them. Opportunities costs are costs. They're basically another alternative. An alternative of going to college could be not going to college. Okay. Question on those? Okay, we're going to do a problem or two up here. Call it a night. Okay, one-time special order. By the way, there's basically 4 different categories that I have for this one. There's some things that are that occur so often that they kind of they're kind of their own type of problem. And one of those is a one-time special order, sometimes just called special orders. And that is a one-time special order is sort of like when someone comes to you and they want to buy a large quantity usually, and it's usually not a regular customer. It could be, but usually it's not. But they want to, so you sell T-shirts, maybe sell to different groups and that, personalized T-shirts. Maybe someone wants 100 or 200. Well, someone comes to you and they say we want 10,000, but 10,000 T-shirts. Now, along with that, they're probably going to ask for a better price. Look, there's a really big order. What kind of price can you give us on this? Or maybe even shooting us a price. If you can do this for $5 a shirt, we have a deal, or whatever it is. So it's usually for a large quantity, and it's usually that they want a better price than the normal price that people are paying because it's such a large quantity. So that's what a special order is, and it does happen. You get people with promotions and all this kind of stuff. But they're usually not your regular, your regular customers. I used to be bicycle shop, and we used to buy a few hundred bikes a year from these companies. And I remember one time we couldn't get some bikes because they were filling an order for, I think it was like 30,000. So here you have these shops that are ordering 300 bikes a year, and someone comes in with a 30,000 bike order. It's like, okay, well, I guess we're not going to get bikes for a little, from this place for a little while. But anyway, that's the idea, is that they come in with a large order and they want a good price for it. They want less than the normal price. I'll put it that way. Okay. So let's think about this. Calculator. Let's think about the alternatives here really quickly. I'm just going to put this up on the screen for a second. So here's a regular production. And here's the one-time special order. And they tell us down here that they have the excess capacity to produce a special order without changing the regular productions. Should XYZ accept the order? Okay, so what are the alternatives to it? Okay, are they going to stop their regular production for this?
No, it says they're going to do it without changing their regular production.
Yep. Okay, so alternative one. They'll make their regular production. But they'll also do the special order. Alternative two, regular production. I like to call it regular production. Oops. Okay. So looking at our alternatives, what is not relevant? Or maybe a better question is, what is relevant to our decision? What is relevant to our decision? I'll give you a choice. Regular production or special order? Think about the Happy Meal.
The special order, right?
Yep, only the special order is relevant. So regular production is not relevant. It doesn't change. So because it's without changing, it's not relevant. If it changed, it'd be relevant. So really the only thing that we have to look at here is a special order. So it's taking the special order or not taking the special order. So basically, if we just do a analysis of the special order, that's all we need. Okay, so the only thing we're going to look at is the special order. So this would be the special order only. Yeah, I'm doing capital letters. Only. So we're really only going to be looking at the additional sales or revenues and additional costs. We're not going to be looking at the regular production because there's no reason to. It's the regular production is going to be regular production whenever it is. We will need some of this data here eventually here, but not right now. So what we're going to do is find out, okay, what additional sales will we have? Money coming in. Money going out would be additional variable costs. Additional fixed costs. And that will give us our additional income. And again, we do not need the regular production because it's not going to change. It's not relevant. We don't need those numbers. Okay, so let's look at the special order. The selling price is $30, and they want 2,500 of them to sell. The sale, it's a sale of 2,500 units. So where would that go down here? So the selling price of $30.
Is it additional sales?
Yep, perfect. So 2,500 units. Times the selling price, which is not spelled like that. Yeah, just put price or sell price. You guys know what it is. Of $30. Some number. It's probably be more specific than that, than some number. But here we go: 2,500 times 30, 75,000. So this will add 75,000 to our sales. But we're probably going to have some more additional variable costs. So let's look up here. Our variable costs are here. We could do each of these individually, but that would be no fun. And accounting is all about fun. So probably be easiest just to total those up. Uh, 10 plus 12 plus, I think it's 25, isn't it? Check that. Yeah, that's it, 25. So yeah, again, you can leave them separately. There's nothing wrong with that. If you put in three, you put in 3 lines for additional costs and do it separately. I just did all at once because I can be lazy at times. That's why. Okay, so the cost per unit is 25. And now this is going to be negative because this is money going out. Each one's going to cost us a variable cost $25 each. So that is 2,500. What will the additional fixed cost be? Be careful because this is a trick question.
Wouldn't it be 10,000 units at 15? Or
No, you're the way I asked it, you're absolutely right. For the special order, what would the additional fixed cost be? What you answered actually is exactly right. For the one-time special order, what would the additional fixed cost be?
would it be the, yeah, I don't know this one. Would it be the 25 times the 30, 2,500 times the 30, or the 15?
Nope and nope. Think about fixed costs. What happens to the fixed costs? Or what doesn't happen to fixed costs? They don't.
But they don't change.
So the additional fixed cost will be, if it doesn't change.
Let me see. I thought it would be the 20. I thought it would be the, if it doesn't change, I thought it would be the 10,000 units at 15.
It actually is, but it's not going to change from that. So what is that? 10,000, it'd be 150,000,
Yeah.
but it's not going to change when we get the special order, right? It's still going to be 100. So let's say it's our rent. Let's say the rent is 150,000. Kind of a lot of rent, but whatever. So if it's 150,000, it's not going to change with the special order. There won't be any additional fixed costs. So this will just be 0, or I guess -0. But so
Right, because it's additional. Okay, I see.
yeah. See, so this is what you said was exactly right. The fixed cost will be this. But the thing is, with the special order, it's not going to go up. It's not going to change anything. So the fixed costs in this case aren't relevant. They didn't tell us they changed any. If they said they changed, we might have something in there. But if they don't, we don't. So this will be 25 minus 62, which is some number. 12,500. So this would be a positive 12,500. And bah. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. So the additional income will be 12,500. So would you accept this order? Yes. Income. Sorry. So should they accept the special order? Yes. Now we don't know what the total income is, but for this decision, it doesn't matter. You know, we're not going to change the rate of production. So. What would have been? What would have been the impact on total fixed costs if they were accepted? Unchanged. And that's why the additional amount is 0. So generally speaking, unless they tell you otherwise, it is possible that total fixed cost change. But unless they tell you something, well, generally speaking, fixed costs are not relevant. Not relevant to the decision. Not saying they don't exist; they do exist. They're up here. These are the fixed costs, but they're just not going to change. Okay. I'll tell you what. Let's stop there. Let's stop there. Let's save this. So hold on to this handout. We're gonna spend some time. We probably spend 2 weeks on this handout. Just prepare yourselves for it. Let's see here. Camera going. Okay, so hold on to the chapter 11 handout. So what's gonna happen next? So there's a drop in there's a thing in the submit homework here. And there's one for chapter 10, which we completed last week. And I think I have the video up for that one. I'll check and make sure. And then also the chapter 10 practice exam. Now, some of the exams shortly, and it'll be very similar to the chapter 10 practice exam. What else? Oh, and again, you can take pictures of your work and submit those instead of the handouts. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Students do it all the time in my classes. So don't worry about that. You can take a picture of it. Do not rewrite it. You don't have to rewrite your notes or anything like that. If you have it written on notebook paper or something, that's fine. Just take a picture, send it in. You can submit multiple pictures. In fact, I would rather you submit multiple pictures than to zip them together into a page file or a zip file. It's just easier on my end just to pull them out if they're individual. So, but if you submit it the other way, it's fine too. I can always pull them out. But pictures are fine. So do not rewrite your work just to submit it. Any questions? And that's for anything, test or anything, whatever you have to turn in. Okay, I will be sending out the chapter 10 exam, hopefully tonight, if not tonight, by tomorrow. I want to go through and make sure that they're okay before I send them out. It's usually easier if I catch mistakes before they get sent out than try to fix them afterwards. So, any questions on any of this?
Not at the moment.
Okay. I think I might have put erroneously that today that this was spring break week. If I didn't, then that's good. I told some of my classes that this week was spring break a while ago. And obviously, it's not spring break. I don't know, 3-4 weeks more to go before the spring break. Okay. Well, I will see you guys next Monday. I also have office hours on Friday at noon and at 6 p.m. You're welcome to join it. And if you or if you have if those times don't work for you, obviously, email me and we'll set up other times to meet if you need help on that stuff. Okay, guys. Good night.
All right, thank you. Good night.
Have a good one.
I will. You too.